I'm Corbett Wall with DV Auction, here with your feeder flash for Tuesday, October the 26th, brought to you in part by the Widetex Corporation, providing livestock producers with excellence in animal health. For more information on Widetex products, go to wide-tex.com. CME gains, although welcome, were not commensurate with the bullishness that we have in our fundamentals and the results of the cattle on feed report that come out on Friday. The aggressiveness, albeit at the lower levels that we only ever see nowadays from your packers coming into the market. But you know, we were really expecting to see something that was a whole lot more robust on our futures gains to start the week out. We did see some gains, and some of them were sizable, especially on your back months of your feeder cattle and things, but just Friday we lost more than that. So it doesn't make any sense that we didn't gain that. We just can't seem to get any of these outside the industry speculators to get a lot of confidence in going long the board, because as an industry we don't show any ability to get any leverage in your fat cattle trade, which, you know, your feeder cattle futures is just a derivative of the fat cattle futures, and whenever we can't seem to gain any ground, especially when the fundamentals are promising that we should gain some significant ground, you know, it doesn't pay for those people to want to go long the market whenever we can't show them that we can gain significant market position whenever we have the right to be gaining that. I was able to go to a sale in central Missouri on Monday and talk to several people that I've known for a long time and respect within the industry, and talk to some guys that knew people within the industry that were going to do a Texas hedge, because they're feeling really confident about the board and about your cattle market on a cash basis. But you know, that's when you own cattle and you're going long the board too, because as an industry we bet against ourselves every round, and we're about the only ones that ever do that through hedging. But we've just got to be able to promote this industry, promote our ability to gain market position, and to do it when we have the chance to do it. These packers are short bought. Talked to several guys that had sold fat cattle. The packers had 2 weeks to pick them up, and they call for them the next day. That's close to the knife. They need cattle. They don't want to tip their hand that how close they are, but I've told you guys in the last several weeks that over the last month and a half of our little dab of negotiated trade that we have, your packers haven't been buying that many for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So they're buying them up close. They need those cattle up close, and so that doesn't set them up to continue to buy the little bit of needs that they still have open, and to hold back the market. And we see in your cattle auctions, your slaughter cattle auctions, that they mostly only have in the northern plains and in the Midwest, that packers really coming in there. And I'll tell you more about that when we get to the fat cattle portion of the market report here. But we need to hold off, ask more for cattle, negotiate a higher percentage of the cattle that are in loose hands, and show the world that we can gain some market position when we have the opportunity to do so. And it's high time that we do it right now. Let's talk about your board to start the week out on Monday. October live cattle futures up 92 cents at 125.02. December was up $1.20 at 129.52. That 130 is going to be a threshold. If we could really get our guns together and try to group together and make a big push, I think maybe we could get you know, 130 and push beyond that in this fourth quarter. But we've got to show that we can do that. And I think that should be a goal between now and the end of the year, is to push your one price fat cattle market past 130 sometime within this fourth quarter. Your back months on your live cattle futures up 32 cents to up $1.25. Feeder cattle, October was up just 20 cents, and all it's doing right now is jostling around trying to get in line with your index here for the last trading day, which is right here this week. But 155.62 for October contracts. November up $1.57, which is a significant gain, but it was down over $2 just Friday. So we haven't even got back to where we were when that bullish cattle on feed report came out. But November contracts 158.47 on the close. Back months on your feeder cattle up 85 cents to up 135. Weighted average on last week's negotiated fed cattle trade direct basis out of your 5-area feeding region, 62,000 head pure negotiated cash. That compares with the previous week of 79,700 head and the same week a year ago, which was 77,900 head. But your live sales of steers and heifers last week in your 5-area feeding region range from 121 to 127, but mostly 123 to 125. That range is kind of out of whack, and if you go with your price range, you got to call the market kind of uneven, but we did gain ground, and you can see that through your weighted averages. Your weighted average on live steers in the 5-area, 124.39, and that was up about 55 cents compared to the weighted average on live steers the previous week. Dress sales of steers and heifers range from 193 to 196.50. Your weighted average there was up just 13 cents, and we didn't see as robust a gains on your weighted average on dress steers, but it seems like about every other week we've been going back and forth as we've been gaining ground, albeit at a snail's pace here. But we get one week that the dress market gains a little bit, and then we go back to the live market, and this past week it was the live market's turn to gain a little market position. Nationwide negotiated sales, 78,700 head. That compares with 95,900 the previous week, 93,200 the same week the year before. But of those 78,700 head, only about 21.5% of those were for the 2 to 4 week delivery. So still not, packers still not being able to set the market up. Of course, there's no reason to believe that they'll have a right to pressure the market much here in the next several weeks, and maybe even through the rest of this quarter. So really no need to try too hard to do that. But negotiated grid pricing, which we know that the packers are wanting to use to show that they're doing more negotiating, but we all know that the negotiated grid does not really include any negotiation. It's just kind of a posted price there. Call in, get that price, negotiated grid. You either take it or leave it. And if you can't turn it down and still do some trading, there's no negotiation going on in there. But they reported 50,900 head of negotiated grids nationwide, and that compares to a year ago of 17,700 head. So you can't tell me that they're trying to do a bigger job of turning in more negotiated grid sales through mandatory price reporting and make it look like they're doing some negotiation. But there's a little bit of negotiation on a true cash, but not in that negotiated grid or bid the grid that they want to call it. Formula sales last week and nationwide totaled 258,800 head. So you know where the volume's at. I told you I wanted to talk about some early week fat cattle sales, slaughter cattle auctions. Decorah, Iowa, talked to them there, and they had a really good market there. Considered it to be $4 to $6 higher. The good finished cattle, some that were mostly all choice and maybe an end prime on them, selling from 130 up to 134. That's in an auction there in northern Iowa. And I talked to an auctioneer out at the Equity Barn at Johnson Creek, Wisconsin. That's where they get mostly fed Holstein cattle there. And, they're not on the straight up with the colored cattle or the straight beef cattle that we normally talk about, but give you an idea what the market is on those. Fat Holstein steers weighing from 16 to 1,800 pounds, which is a typical weight for finished Holstein cattle there, bringing from 122.5 to 124, and that's what they're wanting to pay for our good fed cattle down in the 5-area feeding region. Box beef cutout values were a little bit higher to start the week out, and we talked on the last visit or two how they kind of bottomed out last week, and so we should see kind of a steady to moderately higher box beef market here going forward. But choice cuts on Monday afternoon, $283.04. That was up $1.22. Selects up 8 cents at $263.19. Talk about what else is going on. Livestock Risk Services is one of the outfits that we talk about here on the Feeder Flash that are professionals in helping you with livestock risk protection policy. And I can't tell you how much that I encourage you to get a hold of one of those, and Livestock Risk Services can sure take care of that for you. And just give them a call there. Go to livestockriskservices.com and learn more and get more information and contact information for them. But they can help you, especially you backgrounders. I can tell you what, you can lock in a good price for those cattle if you plan on backgrounding some cattle through the winter, or even if you plan on feeding some cattle and you don't want to take a true hedge with your futures and have to worry about margin calls and things like that. Be sure and get a hold of them at Livestock Risk Services. Talk about your feeder cattle market to start out the week. In your auction barns, real-time index on DV auction late in the day on Monday sitting at 154.72. That was down 66 cents, and it's not that the market was any cheaper, it's just that we had some higher volume sales in the southern plains and places like that. And late last week we had some really kind of premium type sales in the northern plains and in the Midwest that had that thing running just a little bit higher. But look at your big sales on Monday. Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City, 8,500 head there, and the market was higher straight through, and I told you it would be, and we figured it'd be higher. I thought it could be even more higher than it was, but feeder steers steadied at $2 higher, feeder heifers $2 to $4 higher, steer calves $5 to $7 better, and heifer calves $2 to $5 better on a really good sale at Oklahoma National Stockyards in Oklahoma City. Joplin Regional Stockyards, 4,200 head, and they underestimated just a little bit, and likely a few guys thought the market would be better after seeing that cattle on feed report on Friday, and so they brought a few more in there. But steer calves was the best test there, and they sold $4 to $7 higher. The feeder steers mostly steady, and all weights of heifers and feeder heifers selling steady to $2 higher. Stick out deal in Joplin was 209 head of 810 pound feeder steers. Joplin Regional Stockyards bring 163.85. Big price. How about Faith Livestock Auction in Faith, South Dakota? The last several weeks they've been working through those big droves of light and pee-wee calves there, ranch raised calves, coming off light and coming off a bit early. We're kind of getting into the time where we should be getting full swing and selling those calves in the northern plains, but we've been selling them here for several weeks and now kind of getting on the downhill slide of them. But Faith Livestock Auction sold 9,300 head. You won't see this market information anywhere else unless they pay for it. But look at this automated market report from Cattle Market Central through DV Auction, and you see the best tested weights are those light calves, and they'd be the fancy kind, guys. 2,561 head of the 4-weight steer calves averaged 458 in Faith with a weighted average price of $197.70, and that's about steady on your 4 and 5-weight steer calves. 2,814 head of your 5-weight steer calves average 542 at $179.77 on your weighted average price. How about the heifers? 1,655 head of your 4-weight heifers in Faith, South Dakota average 458 with a weighted average price of $172.34. Your 4 and 5-weight heifer calves would be from $1 to $6 higher than last week. A little over 1,025 head of your 5-weight fancy heifer calves average 533 with a weighted average price of $165.25. Like I said, was able to go to some sales this week around Missouri there, my old stomping grounds. Callaway Livestock Center Kingdom City, Missouri, right the center part of Missouri, just east of Columbia, right on I-70 there. And I know a lot of good friends that are in that sale every week, and Jack Harrison does a great job running that sale, and had some stick out deals there. But I found the most interesting one, this load, and there was a string of them. There were several loads that went up through the weights there, but I mean green grass only thin flesh steers. Now, they might not have been the fanciest things in the world. Most of them were black, and they actually had the colored cattle off of them sorted together. But I'm not sure if in this picture you can appreciate how green these cattle were. But I mean green as gourds coming in this late in the year. 60 head, weighed 808 pounds, bring $161. How about Sioux Falls Regional Livestock in Worthing, South Dakota? Some big backgrounded steers selling, and it won't take long on them, bringing a big price. 114 head of 1,038 pound steers, bring $151.60. They're having their calf specials at Winter Livestock, both in Pratt and La Junta on Mondays. And Pratt had a stick out sale higher than most all of your best sales that we saw in the Northern Plains. We're just not seeing the numbers of them in the Southern Plains, so that's why they were more attractive, and we can't get trucks to haul them in. You got wheat pasture to turn out. There's good demand for those. But Winter Livestock, Pratt, Kansas, sold 61 head, 523 pound steers on a Monday, not a Thursday, on their Monday calf special at $195.50. But the best quote that I saw anywhere on Monday, your Zach Tran top quote for the day, come from Ted Baum at Elgin Livestock Sales in Elgin, Nebraska. 118 head of 869 pound feeder steers at $165.50. That's your feeder flash for Tuesday.